into our Kroger Kickoff on what is absolutely a beautiful morning for football here in Nashville, Tennessee. You'll see I have the pullover on this morning. When I woke up, it was actually pretty chilly, cold enough in the 50s that you felt like you needed that extra layer. As you head towards kickoff, the sun is kind of shining now. Feels certainly a lot warmer than it did before, but we've definitely experienced a little bit of fall temperatures here up in Music City in the state of Tennessee as the Dawgs get ready to take on Vanderbilt. Noon start Eastern time, 11 a.m. local. Obviously, some Georgia fans concerned about what that might mean for Georgia, not the customary afternoon or 9-game start. Does the early start affect the focus for UGA? Well, if there's any judge of that, the way the team walked into the stadium a moment ago would certainly give you the indication they've got game faces on. They're ready for the game that is on its way here later on this afternoon. I'll show you this as they arrived in. You'll get a chance to see kind of a makeshift version of the dog walk just a couple of moments ago, really right on the other side of where I'm standing right now, going into this gate here at Vanderbilt Stadium. And it was really cool to see Georgia fans really surrounding both sides of the gates as Georgia got off the buses and made its way through there. Tons of Georgia fans in Nashville as per usual. Maybe not quite as many as we had back in 2019 when it was the season opener, when it was Labor Day weekend, when it was, frankly, pre-pandemic. A lot of the things back then may have led to more Georgia fans being here at the time, but certainly Nashville being one of the great weekend towns really anywhere. Obviously, Georgia fans don't need much of an excuse to come party somewhere over the course of a weekend, and a date against the Commodores here today will certainly give an example of that as you see the team scroll by. A couple of things I want you to make sure you notice. First of all, keep your eyes peeled on the screen for a really pretty fabulous suit from Georgia quarterback J.T. Daniels. Certainly looking the part of kind of the superstar quarterback with the way he was decked out today. Of course, so many Georgia Bulldogs kind of use this dog walk, even a road game dog walk, where it's a little bit different than being in Athens. So many Georgia players kind of use that as almost like their fashion runway there as well. Trayvon Walker had a very impressive suit on today. That was great to see. Another thing you'll see as the team walks by, for a lot of instances, this is the first chance these parents of Georgia players have had to interact with their sons in a few days. They're on campus, and in many cases the parents live away somewhere else. They're not able to see them face-to-face as much as they'd like to, and so it's always an emotional moment pregame, especially in these moments when the families and the parents can get close enough to the players to experience all of this. Always really great to see the hugs and just the affection that parent gets to show to what is still a child, right? I mean, at least their child. These are not children. These are full-grown men, but they are children to the parents who gather around here and get a chance to greet them and say hello. So that's always a beautiful thing to be able to see there as well. We really appreciate you being a part of our Kroger Kickoff today. For those of you who were with us last night in high school football, of course, Kroger a big part of that there as well. Thanks for tuning in to watch Warner Robins beat Lee County and seeing the Kroger player of the game given out there. And now we'll turn our attention to college football here on this Saturday from Nashville, Tennessee. And, of course, you're getting stocked up for your tailgate as we head towards the weekend. With college football today, you're checking out pro football tomorrow. Of course, Kroger gives you great savings on the food you're going to put on your plates for the tailgating, the beverages you got in your cup, what you're filling up your cooler with, all those plates and napkins and everything else there as well. In fact, if you go to this website, Kroger.com/football, that's Kroger.com/football, and you can find out all the great ways that Kroger's saving you money as we are right here in the midst truly of tailgate season. So I hope you enjoy the chance to see Georgia make its way onto the field there a moment ago, make its way into the stadium, probably better said, as a part of kind of this road game dog walk with Georgia fans all over the place here in Nashville, ready to paint this stadium red and black once again as they've done so many times before. I'll take a couple of minutes to get some of your comments in here as well, and then after that, I'll be inside the stadium and looking forward to giving you coverage from inside there today. And, of course, Mike Griffith, Connor Riley closely watching there as well all day long, too. Let's check in on YouTube just for a moment here and find out what folks have to say over there. As, of course, Georgia gets ready to take on Vanderbilt later on. Noon start Eastern time, 11 a.m. local time, and a lot of folks checking in here. Tino Calvino gives you a top of the morning, and, yeah, I think for a lot of us it was a pretty early morning. I think I was in the same boat as a lot of Georgia fans, but for an entirely different reason. When that alarm went off this morning, I was pretty bleary-eyed and, frankly, a little worse for the wear. A lot of Georgia fans felt that way because of the time they spent on Broadway last night. I felt that way because I was in Warner Robins, Georgia, what seems like just a couple hours ago. So a lot of Georgia fans today kind of bleary-eyed and maybe not firing on all cylinders, but me, maybe for a different reason than some of the others who've taken advantage of all the social benefits that Nashville has to offer. A lot of other folks checking in there as well. James Moore also pointing out the fact that we have seen a little bit of a fashion trend from Georgia players during the dog walk of wearing the cowboy hats. A couple of weeks ago, I think there was some thought of, were those Stetson hats in honor of Stetson Bennett for the game that he started? But now that JT Daniels has regained the reins as Georgia's starting quarterback, at least a couple of Stetson hats here and there have remained there. Other conversations coming in here. Thomas T-Bone predicts a 35-0 win for Georgia against Vanderbilt today. Some Georgia fans may want a little bit more than that. John Quick wants 55 points here today. Edward Jordan, like so many other Georgia fans, remembering about Vanderbilt last year, unable to play Georgia, or frankly maybe just unwilling to play Georgia. Game canceled a couple of different times, robbing Georgia seniors of their final chance to play in a UGA uniform, their senior day, and a potentially record-setting career as a winningest senior class going on of the program. There was a lot of bad feelings about that at the time, and it's been amazing for me how much a lot of that has really lingered here with Georgia fans very much on their mind. I mean, let's face it, there's oftentimes not a lot of juice around a Georgia-Vanderbilt game, and I won't attempt to oversell this one necessarily, but it is certainly interesting the degree to which Georgia fans have brought up what happened last year and their frustrations with Vanderbilt because of that. Vanderbilt not able to play this game, but boy, they always seem to be ready and able once the check arrives from the rest of the SEC. So collecting their money easily, showing up to play all the required games, a little bit more of a challenge, it would seem, for these Commodores. Travis Kelly on Facebook wants to see 60 points today. So a lot of Georgia fans feeling pretty good here. William Gleaton sounds like he's having a very good time. And, William, I think you speak for a lot of Georgia fans here today. Lee Hayes says red shirt. Yeah, so I got the red Georgia, like the Dog Nation shirt on underneath this. But this morning it was cool enough. I had to go pullover. I don't know if I'm just getting soft or what, but I had to go long sleeve pullover over the red, traditional Dog Nation golf shirt because it was a little cool this morning. I was in Chattanooga last night, or at least for a couple hours, and then waking up this morning, I was like, I better throw the pullover on there today. Kylan and Susan Richter checking in from Moultrie, Georgia. Good to see the Richters a part of the program here today. Keith Wilson wants to see some young guys get some reps today. I think that sounds like a pretty good idea. Steve Rogers reminded us it's the final tune-up before a big series of games for Georgia in the month of October, featuring Arkansas and Auburn and Kentucky and Florida. And, of course, for 3 of those 4 teams, we'll get a chance to see them in a pretty interesting spot today. For Florida, a week after playing Alabama closer than a lot of experts would have thought, they get a chance to see if they can make it look easy today against Tennessee. For a Kentucky team that Georgia will also see in a couple of weeks that struggled last week against Chattanooga, can they go on the road, get a win at South Carolina? And obviously the big game in the SEC here today is what's going to happen with Arkansas and Texas A&M. That's the top game in the league and probably the game that Georgia fans have their attention on almost as much as they'll have their attention on this game for UGA today, just given the fact that's the opponent next week. Georgia fans still have a lot of affection for the former offensive line coach of this program, Sam Pittman, but next Saturday he will be treated like a foe, and there's a potential that's also an undefeated Arkansas team coming into Sanford Stadium for another noon start there again next Saturday. As far as what I want to see from today's game, I guess I'll wrap up by saying this, that getting an easy win is oftentimes not as easy as it looks in the SEC. How efficiently Georgia can do that today, how thorough they can make this beating, I think does give you a little bit of a hint and a clue for how ready it is for what's going to be a tough October schedule, or at least a tougher October schedule than the games that have been played there thus far. Can Georgia remain efficient on offense? Can the emergence of the passing game, which has been a pretty big story for Georgia the last 2 games, one of those Stetson Bennett against UAB, JT Daniels last week, can that continue to provide aid and cover for the Georgia running game that's still trying to figure itself out? The honest truth is, on the defensive side of the ball, my guess is Vanderbilt offensively is not quite good enough to challenge what we think is still a Georgia secondary that's a work in progress. But the one thing I think Georgia fans enjoy about their unit right now on defense is the way that front 7 travels, the way that havoc rate, sacks, tackles for loss from those guys up front. It seems like that's just about a given and a guarantee each and every Saturday. And so more highlight plays from that group I think is also something that Georgia fans are very much looking forward to. So those are our thoughts for pregame now. We appreciate you being a part of our Kroger Kickoff. I'll also remind you that we'll be back here after the game there as well. Once again from Nashville here at the stadium, hopefully talking about what will be a Georgia victory. It'll be our Dog Nation postgame show presented by the UGA Bookstore. And then, of course, we'll see you back again next week at the UGA Bookstore for our home away from home once we return to Athens for the Georgia-Arkansas game next week. So settle in. get you a screwdriver, Bloody Mary, whatever it takes to get you woken up, or just a cup of coffee, whatever it is that you need to get going for the early start today. We need your game face on wherever you're watching the game from, just as much as these Georgia coaches and players. And for those of you who are in Nashville and checking us out on your phone at your tailgate, getting ready to go into the stadium, need you loud today, need you making noise. Let's make this thing feel like Athens up here in Music City. Enjoy the game. We'll see you afterwards for the Dog Nation postgame show presented by the UGA Bookstore. And again, next Saturday pregame for our Kroger Kickoff. Enjoy the game, everybody.